The year is 1565. A tiny, sun-scorched island in the middle of the Mediterranean is about to witness 4 months of pure nightmare that will scar military history forever. 500 armored monks and 6,000 ordinary fishermen, farmers, women and children managed to stop the largest invasion fleet the Ottoman Empire ever launched. 200 ships, 40,000 elite troops, 6,000 janissaries who had never lost a siege in their lives. What happened on Malta wasn't just a battle, it was the moment when both sides threw away every rule of war and turned the island into a slaughterhouse so horrific that seasoned soldiers broke down crying and refused orders. This is the story of how human heads became cannonballs, how walls were rebuilt with dead bodies, how disease was used as a deliberate weapon, and how a handful of desperate defenders made 30,000 invaders run away in panic from just 600 relief troops. This is the Great Siege of Malta, the siege that saved Europe by proving that people are capable of absolutely anything when the alternative is annihilation. Let's go back to spring 1565. The Ottoman Empire is at the absolute peak of its power. Constantinople, Egypt, the Balkans, everything has fallen. Their navy owns the Mediterranean. Sultan Suleiman, the Magnificent, decides it's time to rip the center of the sea in half. The target, Malta, a barren rock with no rivers, almost no trees, and a few thousand grumpy locals who never really liked the Knights Hospitaller that Charles V parked there in 1530. Why Malta? Because whoever controls Malta controls the choke point between East and West. Lose Malta and Rome is next. Then Naples. Then Spain's entire coastline. Leading the defense is a 70-year-old legend, Grand Master Jean Parissa de Val, former galley slave, fluent in Arabic, a man who's been fighting Ottomans since most people reading this were born. On the Ottoman side, 2 terrifying names, Admiral Piali Pasha with the fleet, General Mustafa Pasha with the army, and arriving late, the pirate genius Dragit Race, the most feared corsair in the Mediterranean. May 18th, 1565, a fisherman sprints into the capital screaming one sentence: "The sea is black with sails." 200 ships, 40,000 men, more siege cannons than anyone can count. Against them, roughly 550 knights and 6,000 to 7,000 poorly armed Maltese. The numbers are laughable. 6 to 1 in the best case, 10 to 1 in reality. Valet knows he can't win a normal siege, so he decides to fight an abnormal one. The key to the whole defense is tiny. Fort St. Elmo, a star-shaped fort sitting on the tip of the peninsula, basically the front doorknob of the main harbors. Military engineers say St. Elmo will fall in 4 to 5 days maximum. Valet needs it to last weeks. He deliberately over-garrisons it, turning it into a meat grinder designed to bleed the Ottomans white. May 24th. The bombardment begins. Not hundreds of shots a day. 7,000 cannonballs a day smash into a fort the size of a football field. Walls explode into razor-sharp limestone shards that cut men in half. By day 3, there are already multiple breaches. Ottoman commanders lick their lips. Easy victory. They attack and walk into hell. The knights have filled the gaps with their own dead comrades, stacked like sandbags. Janissaries have to climb over slippery corpses in full armor just to reach the defenders, who are now fighting with axes, stones, and bare hands. When the first wave retreats in shock, The knights do something that freezes Ottoman blood. They load their cannons with severed Turkish heads and fire them back into the enemy camps. Message received: we are not taking prisoners. We are not even treating your dead as human. Dragut arrives on June 3rd, takes one look at the situation and supposedly says, Allah gave us an island guarded by men. Saint Elmo was supposed to fall in less than a week. It lasts 31 days. Cost to the Ottomans, roughly 8,000 dead, including Dragut himself, killed by a cannon splinter. When the fort finally falls on June 23rd, only a handful of defenders are still alive. Many are so wounded they have to be tied to chairs to keep fighting. The last 60 men take communion at dawn, knowing it's their final morning. The Ottomans win the fort and lose the siege. Mustafa Pasha looks at the mountain of corpses and says the line that will echo forever: if the little son cost us this much, what price will the mother demand? Meaning, if tiny Saint Elmo was this bad, the main cities of Burgu and Senglia will be impossible. The next day the Turks try psychological warfare. They crucify captured knights on wooden planks and float the bodies across the harbor toward the Christian lines, a deliberate mockery of the cross. Valet's response is ice cold. He rounds up every Turkish prisoner, has them beheaded on the walls in full view of the enemy, then loads the heads into cannons and deliberately targets the Ottoman hospitals and cooking areas. Both sides just crossed the line into total savagery. There is no going back. What follows is 2 more months of escalating horror. Maltese women pour boiling oil mixed with sewage and lime onto attackers. Children roll burning hoops of tar down the walls that set whole assault columns on fire. Both sides start catapulting rotting corpses and dead animals into the enemy camp to spread disease on purpose. The August heat turns the battlefield into a steaming swamp of blood and guts. Flies are so thick you breathe them in. By late August, the Ottoman army is rotting from the inside. Dysentery, typhus, and pure terror tear through the ranks faster than cannonballs. Elite janissaries, men who laughed at death, start refusing to attack. They've seen too many friends turned into building material. September 7, a small relief force from Sicily finally lands, only about 8,000 men total, and the commander sends just 600 as the first wave, marching with maximum noise and dust. Ottoman scouts see the dust cloud and panic. Rumors explode. 30,000 Spaniards are here. An army that still outnumbers the defenders 5-1 suddenly breaks. Soldiers throw down weapons and sprint for the ships. Officers execute deserters on the spot and still can't stop the stampede. By September 11th, the last Ottoman galley disappears over the horizon, leaving behind hundreds of cannons, mountains of supplies, and 25,000 to 30,000 of their own dead. The defenders, 250 knights killed half their total force, and about 5,000 Maltese civilians dead or dying. The island looks like the apocalypse. This wasn't a victory of good over evil. This was a victory of whoever was willing to become the bigger monster. The Great Siege of Malta invented. Total war 350 years before World War I. It proved that if you make fighting horrific enough, you don't need superior numbers. You just need the enemy to lose the will to live. Every major European war after 1565 got a little bit worse because of what happened here. The 30 Years' War, the Napoleonic Wars, even the trenches of 1914 to 18 all carry Malta's DNA. Voltaire later wrote, Nothing is so well known as the Siege of Malta. He wasn't talking about fame. He was talking about the terrible truth it revealed about every single one of us. When extinction is on the table, morality becomes negotiable. Malta still stands. Quiet streets, blue sea, beautiful forts. Tourists walk over ground that once squelched with blood 6 inches deep. And somewhere under those stones are the ghosts of 1565, reminding us what human beings are truly capable of when someone pushes us all the way to the edge. That's the real story of the Great Siege of Malta. Not knights in shining armor, just desperate people who discovered there is no bottom to how far we will fall to survive. Like and subscribe if you want more history that they definitely didn't teach you in school.